This is Adrian Hart with your Southeast Colorado news on seconews.org. Nice accent with the fire behind us. Thanks for stoking that fire, Jake.
Absolutely.
We are here with Park Ranger Jake at Bensold Fort National Historic Site, talking about the upcoming holiday celebrations this weekend. Little bit a break from the tradition. We aren't talking about the candlelight tours are already sold out, right?
Yeah, well, we were not able to do the candlelight tours
Right.
this year. Yeah, so we're going to try to do some candlelight components in the future, but yeah, unfortunately not this weekend. But we've got a lot of neat daytime activities going on.
That's for me. That's the highlight. Is that it's going to be something different than what you've experienced before.
Yeah.
So come on back out to Bensold Fort. Do you want to tell us about how we're going to start the day off?
Yeah, so we're going to start off at 9:30 with a reading of A Christmas Carol. You know, most of us are familiar with that story, whether it's the George C. Scott version or the Muppet version.
Mm-hmm.
But that novel actually is published in 1843 on December 19th. It sells out by Christmas Eve, so it became one of the most popular novels of all time, best-selling.
Absolutely.
But it came out at the time the fort was in operation, 6 years before the closing of the fort. So it may very well have been read here. We know Dr. Hempstead, one of the fort employees, had a big library, so who knows, he may have had a copy in there that he was reading around this time of year.
So kicking it off with the Christmas Carol.
Yeah, and that's going to be read throughout the morning. It's going to take as long as it takes, with some people switching it on and off with reading that. And then getting into some other activities. One of the interesting things with coming here around the holidays, this is, specifically with Christmas, the Christmas holiday, it's not how we envision it today. This time period in the 1840s is when that's all starting to change more towards what we're familiar with now. The concept of Santa Claus, he does not appear until the 1860s, so he's off in the future.
Wow.
Thomas Nast's first drawing of Santa Claus is in the 1860s. But you have the Dickens book we mentioned, A Christmas Carol, that comes out. And then the big thing, actually I was doing the research before this event, 175 years ago, this December, there is a drawing of Queen Victoria and her husband, Prince Albert. He was from one of the German states, and he had brought over Christmas trees, and there was an engraving of them and their family gathered around a Christmas tree.
Oh, wow.
And that's what sets off the explosion 175 years ago right now. And for Christmas trees just start blowing up and becoming a really popular item for the holidays with a lot of families. Before that, it had been a primarily German tradition.
Wow. So certainly an opportunity to learn about the history of Christmas.
Yes.
And right here in the historic setting.
Yeah, and with different cultures too. The way that the folks from Mexico, which is right across the river here in the borderlands, they celebrated much differently than the Anglos from back east. Of course, Native Americans, Christmas wasn't much of a deal at that time, but certainly if some of them were traveling through, I'm sure they would have enjoyed taking part in the celebration going on. We're going to have a historic weapons demonstration out front. We're going to have some cooking demonstrations that people can take part in. One of the pastimes at the time was playing Spanish Monte, so we're going to have somebody playing Spanish Monte during the day, all throughout the day, but he's going to have a set program.
So folks will be able to learn about the game.
They'll get to learn about the game, play the game, and depending on how their luck goes, they may get to take a souvenir home with them.
Very cool.
Yeah, so we'll have a hands-on program for kids where they can learn about trading here. They can bale some buffalo robes. But they can go into the trade room and make a trade, and they get to take something home with them from there. I don't want to give that away completely. We're going to have a special interpretive program one of our staff, Bill Holcomb's going to give, and it's going to talk about how the holidays were celebrated at the time and kind of what I mentioned earlier about that transition to what it had been to what it will become.
Right.
And that transition period's right in our time period of the fort in the 1840s.
How cool.
Yeah.
I love every trip out to the fort, and I've been here my whole life.
Yeah.
Local, and I've been coming here since I was a kid, and it's always something new. And you guys have really done a good job this year with all your different programs.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, we enjoy it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do some different things.
Anything else that we want to touch on? I know you've got a laundry list of stuff that goes all day, right?
Oh yeah, it's the first program, the reading of a Christmas Carol, is at 9:30. The last program is the story of Los Abuelos, which is a Mexican tradition from northern New Mexico.
Okay.
And that's going to be at 3:30, and that'll be the last program of the day.
Okay, so you're going to go from 9 in the morning till after 3:30, 4 o'clock?
Yeah, the fort opens at 9 and closes at 4.
Okay, now it's a typical $10 entrance fee?
Correct, yeah. Children 15 and under are free. All national park passes are honored, so if you have one of those national park passes, all the different types, that'll get you and 3 other people in. So, yep.
Well worth the Christmas experience out
Absolutely.
here at Vince Old Fort. How cool, man. So that's coming up again this Saturday, December the 2nd.
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about or plug?
I don't think so. I think that's most of it for Saturday.
All right. Well, join us this Saturday at Vince Old Fort National Historic Site, the jewel on the southeast Colorado Plains, getting the holiday trim up.
Absolutely.
We'll get you guys some close-up footage of this fire. For Vince Old Fort National Historic Site and Ranger Jake, I'm Adrian Hart with your Southeast Colorado News.